This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Dawson James Small Cap Growth Conference in Florida 2015. I have with me Dr. Daniel Teper from Pharmaceuticals. It's a NASDAQ listed company and the symbol is IMNP. Dr. Teper, welcome back to SNNLive.
Thank you, Shelley. It's good to be with you, this time in Florida.
It's good to have you. So let's get an overview first on the company, and we'll go from there.
So Pharmaceuticals, NASDAQ, IMNP, 4 years old, became public 2 years ago, uplisted to NASDAQ. Obviously, we're about immunology. We have a core pipeline of immunoinflammation drug, and particularly with our lead candidate, bertoluimab, which has recently started 2 phase 2 clinical trials in dermatology and gastroenterology.
So, any news to update the audience?
Yes, in July, we raised $21.5 million from Hercules Growth Capital and Discover Growth Funds, 2 institutional investors. And for the first time in our young history, we have enough money to execute to our development plan through data. So that's really game-changing for us.
Let's talk about science. Let's go down the pipeline.
So bertoluimab was discovered by a company called Cambridge Antibody Technology, which is also known for having developed Humira, the drug that now has $14 billion in sales and treats Crohn's and colitis as well as rheumatoid arthritis. So we have a great history in the drug. We also have 1,500 publications, scientific publications, on the target of the drug, eotaxin-1. Eotaxin-1 is it's a key regulator of immunoinflammation. It's overexpressed in multiple organs, and therefore it's applicable in dermatology, in gastroenterology, in respiratory disease, and beyond.
Now, it's the tail end of 2015. What does 2016 look like for the company?
Well, 2016 is clinical data on our 2 lead indications. So bullous pemphigoid is an orphan disease of the skin. We're doing a 10 to 15 patient open label study. We'll have results in the first half of 2016. Ulcerative colitis, it's a double-blind placebo-controlled trial. 42 patients, results in the second half of 2016.
And any other corporate developments that you want to bring up?
Yes, we have a very significant pipeline through our strategic acquisition as well as the acquisition of the company that helped us become public. So from a strategic standpoint, we have an early stage oncology pipeline. So we've announced just today that we'll be creating a subsidiary that will be open to institutional investors and corporate partners, which will keep the control, but we'll get additional funding. We'll focus on immuno-oncology with 2 technologies, antibody nanoparticle conjugates, which allow to deliver chemotherapeutics as well as biologics directly into cancer cells, and also bispecific antibodies, all with a strong focus on immuno-oncology, and that's very hot. So we'll keep the option of buying back, obviously, the shares, but we also may consider mergers, acquisitions, or an IPO for that entity. Now, talking about the non-core asset, and we had previously guided to partnering Amicat before the summer. Obviously, we raised $21.5 million. So instead of partnering Amicat at a discount in order to fund our core pipeline and bertoluimab, we now have the opportunity of extracting the most value for Amicat and the pain pipeline. And I've announced this morning that we've kind of reviewed the clinical development plan with some of the top key opinion leaders in the US, including the former director of the FDA division of pain therapeutics. We've applied our nanotechnology to Amicat Nano, and we have confirmed that it prevents abuse of pain drugs, so that's important. So we have a differentiated profile, much longer patent life, and we expect much more rewarding transaction on Amicat, but without the pressure of doing it in 3 months, so that we fund the company.
Now, what's your background?
Well, I have a doctorate degree in pharmacy and an MBA. I went into the industry, very young, and I worked at Sandoz that became Novartis. I was in corporate, and I was in sales, I was in marketing, I was in new product development. I also worked for GlaxoSmithKline and Sanofi. And before I started, Immune, I was on the board of other companies, and I was also an advisor to both large companies like Pfizer and J&J, but also publicly traded company like Cubist and Var Pharma that were recently sold for multi-billion dollars. So Immune Pharmaceuticals is really an opportunity for me to bring it all together. And as you know, I have a large number of shares as a fund of the company, but I continue to buy. There was a public announcement that I entered a plan to invest $250,000 in Immune, and every week you see announcement that I'm continuing to buy. So I have full confidence that 2016 is going to be a great year for Immune Pharmaceuticals, for the shareholders, but also for the patients that we aim to treat with our drugs.
Let's give out your website for more information, if you would.
www.immunepharmaceuticals.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Daniel Teper, Immune Pharmaceuticals, NASDAQ listed, IMNP. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive. We're coming to you live from the Dawson James Small Cap Growth Conference in Florida 2015. Daniel.
Thank you, Shelley.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thanks for coming on.